quarterbacks are injured, but one of them been there 4 times more than the other one. You look at the two coaches. One of them have figured out how to win in every kind of game from winning one game a year to going to the Super Bowl. That's what I think Kansas City has on them. You got a new coach, and both quarterbacks, I said, are hurting, so they're both going to play with their hearts. Both of their defenses are kind of weak, but they can get the job done. Who has the best running game may be the person or the people that we look at. But at the same time, I think Andy Reid, he's been in this situation too many times. He will figure it out.
Well, one thing that Andy, and I'll let Donna, you get in here because of the three. This is a rose among two thorns. Andy has always been, not that he's the only coach, a great screen. Ran the screen a lot in Philly, a lot with Alex Smith. I'm going back early before Mahomes. So the screen, what does it do? In the old days when Tony played, and I don't mean it that way, the screen was.
You said it, and then you say you don't mean it.
No, but the screen was, we fooled them. All you guys are in, and it's kind of a. But the screen, as the West Coast offense screen, the reason it existed, when Bill Walsh and them, back to the Niners, I'm going 40 years, Tony, won the Super Bowl in 81, okay? Which, I mean, the next 2 years you guys were in, but when they won it, none of their backs had 1,000 yards. But they caught, the screen was the way to get around. Our running game is so-so.
Mm-hmm.
People come up with screens, maybe not classic out of the book, to augment the running game so that when you look at the running stats, boy, Sanders, Gainwell, Hurts, they have more running than Kansas City does. Yeah, but are there 6 screens? 2 to Pacheco, 2 to McKinnon. Is that used as a running game? So that might make it even for those sort of plays, if you follow what my point of view.
So go back to this, Chris and Tony, as far as you think about the Philadelphia Eagles' top defense, and you look at Kansas City, which they really don't run the ball that much. So they know that they're going to pass the ball as far as the Eagles go. So how do you counter that? And I'm with you as far as Andy Reid and what he's going to mix up, and then Eric Bieniemy as far as on that offense. So I'm sure that they're trying to figure out how to slow that defense down of Philadelphia. So that's what concerns me, is that they really don't run the ball as far as Kansas City.
Well, they haven't ran it recently, but if you look at
they don't, Tony.
Deception is going to be the part of this game, though, because everyone has to look at them as quarterback making big plays, wide receivers making big plays, tight ends unreal. What they would do is look like they're going to do that. They'll line up in situations where the tight end coach. We as defensive linemen and defensive players always read feet. We read lineup. We read how people are lining and what they're looking at. They're going to make it look like they're still doing passing. But I guarantee you, the running game will be the big thing for them in this Super Bowl if they want to win. And they're going to do it different. And I tell you what, Chris, you know one thing.
I don't believe it, Tony. I don't believe it.
Well, you know what? We've been beating around the bush all this time. I'm coming to both for you right now, Chris. Tell me who you think is going to win the Super Bowl and why.
Well, I'll probably pick the Chiefs. I will, but that's not at all. I mean, it points for 1 or 2. So in other words, 2 number 1 seeds. Quarterbacks who, when they're 100% and even 80%, are magical. Certainly, Mahomes has been, and Hurts has had a MVP type season. I mean, he may be second in the voting, frankly, behind Mahomes when it comes out. So why will the Chiefs win? They will figure out. Mahomes may be a little better 2 weeks later, mobility, not 100%, but then we saw against the Bengals. That's a plus. You know that Philly's going to pound on Travis Kelce. I mean, duh. And if not, his brother Jason's going to say, yeah, my brother, but for 60 minutes, it's okay. He'll get over it. I
forgot your name.
Yeah, he'll get over it. He and I will get together in a couple of days afterwards. We'll be fine. So obviously he's a huge factor. And the
You must have said something wrong, Chris. They calling on you. That's Philadelphia calling right now.
Yeah, no, I think I got lots of friends in Philly. They just canceled my cheesesteak order. You're stuck with a pretzel, pal. That's all you can have. Look, Philly wins. I will not be surprised. My God. I think the Chiefs' offensive line is. It's better than the three of them going to the Pro Bowl. I think they'll do okay against the Eagles front. They know that everyone, they had 75, and what did they have the last 75 plus whatever they had against San Francisco sacks, 77, 78. They almost set the record during the season. I think the Chiefs line will be okay there. So if the Chiefs win, Kelsey has maybe not 14 catches, but 9 in yards after the catch. Maybe one of those receivers, Tony, may be healthy along with Valdez-Scantling. Kansas City plays a lot of rookies in that defensive secondary.
Sure do.
They came up big again against the Bengals, so they need a pass rush out of Chris Jones, who was great, right, in that game. And so I'll give you a player that we haven't talked about yet for the Chiefs, because you asked me why do I think the Chiefs will win. I can give you many players from Philly who will have a big contribution if they win. So this Nick Bolton is a hell of a player, this linebacker for the Chiefs. Maybe on him, if they get a push up front to keep those running backs at 3 or 3.5 yards, 4 yards a carry, and keep in check the Philly running game, and then does Hurts have to win from the pocket? Now, one thing, if Philly wants to win, boy, they have 1 and 1A in receivers, don't they? With Brown and the Slim Reaper, right?
Exactly.
Devontae
Nobody's
Smith.
covered them the whole year, so I give them a little point on that. But now, Donna, I don't want to run out of time before I give you a chance.
No,
to
you
tell
got
us this.
plenty of time, Tony, because
You
I'm not
got to
letting
remember
neither
one thing.
of
When you
up
talk
for
about
this.
Andy Reid, you talk about a coach that's he's too old to be drove, but too young to be led. He'll figure out. He'll figure out how to get it done. Who are you? I know you picking Philadelphia. You one of them youngsters, and you
I'm
looking
just
at
trying to
newcomers.
break down both teams, Tony, because I look at Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts concerns me a little bit because he's not able to be the Jalen Hurts that you want him to be because of that right shoulder still. So he doesn't take off. He doesn't run as much as he would during the course of the season. So he's not 100%. Maybe he'll be better in 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, but still he's not going to be 100% of the Jalen Hurts that you want to see there. But as Chris said, they've got so many weapons as far as on the offensive side of the ball. Smith, they've got A.J. Brown, they've got Miles Sanders, and then they've got Gaines Wells, the other running back. And then they've got a pretty good, decent offensive line themselves. So when you look at all of the weapons, defense and all that, you almost say, hey, I got to tip the scale as far as to Philadelphia beyond the head coach, because I think Andy Reid wins that battle as far as the head coach. But other than that, you look at the Kansas City side too, and you like Patrick Mahomes is going to will that team to win. But you look at the troubles they had against Cincinnati Bengals, which Philadelphia is a much better team, can score more points than Cincinnati. So that to me, I'm going to have the scale, although I was wrong with Cincinnati and I got that wrong, but that was so close. But I think Philadelphia just got more firepower. Their defense is better. I know that, Kelsey and all of them, and what a great storyline as Jason Kelsey and Travis, having your brother in there on the opposite side. So Tony and Chris, I still got to go with the NFC East as far as the Eagles, I think, get this game.
It took you all that time to make
I
a mistake.
gotta
All
lay
you
it out,
had to do
Tony.
was say it in the beginning.
Chris,
You've been wrong
you
on
gotta
every
lay it
point.
out,
That's
right?
all right. We may have an extra show just to come back so I can tell you, see what you said.
No, Tony, but before we go, I want to go back to Chris as far as his career in this business and everything. Chris, you've probably seen it all as far as when you first got started to even now. What has changed across the board for you as far as when you first started to now, as far as how coverage is done for the NFL, and just what your greatest memory is during these years?
Well, I mean, I've been at it a long time. You weren't even born yet when I started, and Tony was, but you weren't. I've been at ESPN for 43 years now, 43 and a half, whatever. Yeah, they're too dumb to get rid of me. It's too late now. So, what's changed? It's obvious. When I started, or I was 24, cable TV, it's hard for your younger viewers or listeners to say, what do you mean cable TV was? We didn't even know if cable TV was going to make it in 79 or 80, let alone ESPN. So the obvious is in 40 years, cable's going like this. And now with the streaming, it's not this, but it's, finally going that way comparatively. So that's an unbelievable change. When I was interviewing Tony, well, by the time, what was your first year in Washington, Tony? What was your last year?
1982.
Okay, so I came up and interviewed you once or twice with Sugar Bear
Yes.
in New England still when I was at ESPN. So whatever we did was on tape. Now, of course, New England was a 2-hour car ride from Connecticut. But if I went to, for example, cover the championship game with Joe Montana with the Cats, we've all seen that a million times, right? I was a young kid. The interviews I did a couple days before with all the 49ers, we put the tapes on a plane in San Francisco. It connected in Chicago. If it wasn't snowing in Hartford, they had the tapes tomorrow. Now it's right? So, so that's 40 years is a short time to me, but a long time. A long time, but it's the immediacy is the biggest difference and has been. This isn't just the last 10 years. It's not really just the internet, but stuff is this and stuff is known and this and that. And back then it's no cell phone. Okay, what have you heard? You go to a payphone and you call somebody back in the studio. Hey, Tony McGee might be hurt. Just you might want to put it out there. I don't know. You didn't get it from me, but that sort of thing. So the immediacy and that's and the fact that cable TV went from 3 million homes in 1979, where ESPN was, to 100 at one point over 100 million homes. That's to me mind-boggling. So as far as football, well, the game is always evolving, right? But I feel I'm going a little deeper than you want here, and I don't want to take too long at it. Every 10, 20 years, there's things that change overall in the game. So when ESPN started, it was the very end of the Steelers and the Dolphins. The Dolphins had earlier in the 70s, and of course the Raiders. And of course, New England got right up there. But those three teams, they won almost all the Super Bowls. And Dallas, they won like all the Super Bowls in the 70s. So when I started, the Niners and West Coast and passing, not like we see now, but this is kind of different. So that was the 80s. And I call that, the football evolved. And then you had the Montanas and the Favres and this. But then you still had 20 years ago, the best quarterbacks, Tom and Peyton Manning, they're pretty much from the pocket. Now, offensively, look, Tom is still outstanding. Obviously, you can there's some part of the game you still got to be a pocket passer. Hurts and Mahomes will make very big plays from the pocket, even though that won't be over 50% of what they do. So, but the quarterback, it's all different now, the way they do it. And as Tony can say, defensively, the reason we can name all the players on the Steel Curtain, for example, the Steelers, they just played 11 guys, maybe a 12th here and there, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember the offensive line and all the receivers, because the same 22 guys played the whole game, other than the special. Now it's the nickel, the dime, the $2 bill back. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Chris.
Right? It's nobody plays every play except, the O-line does. But you know what I'm saying, and that's changed long before now. Like even Yeah, in the 90s, you started to already see it's important for a defense, for example, to have, well, we need 6 or 7 pass rushers. Like, by the way, Philly's got like 8 that are really good.
Yes, they
Um,
do. Yes, they do.
um, it's important for us to have 5 different linebacker, 3, but 2 that cover the pass, 1 that run, and defensive backs. We need 6. So we're really on defense, not playing 11. We're playing 20 guys. That's the change in the game. I think Tony would agree, right?
Yeah, that's a big change. The thing about it is you're playing identities now. If you think about Kansas City, you're talking about flash, you're talking about passes. If you think about Philadelphia, you're talking about the jail down in the basement. You're talking about tough games. You're talking about the fans being mad. They threw snowballs at Santa Claus. So you look at the 2 different things. But right now, when you think about these games and you look at it, this is an anyone can win game. That's why I wanted to have that conversation with both of you, 2 of my greatest friends who's been with me throughout this journey with this show. But one thing I'm looking at, and both of you can chime in, we only got a minute or so left. You start thinking about what we saw years ago, and I'm listening to you guys and thinking about Chris, back when we were doing it, a whole nother group of teams were the best teams in the league. Now all the teams that were losing then are the winners right now. And one thing you said that's changing and changing very fast is the quarterback play. And now the quarterback has to be a running back on the side. So therefore that tells me you're not going to have 15-year quarterbacks anymore. You're not going to have 10-year. You're not going to have 8-year. You're going to have 2 or 3-year quarterbacks or 4 years because they're not going to last that long. You can just look at the people we've had that they did not last that long. So it's a whole different game. But when we talk about this Super Bowl, the one thing by being involved with it, it's a one-day affair that you live your lifetime to do. And that's why it will be different. So don't count your chickens before they hatch. When you get in that game, everything goes down. It's just like we play basketball.
Hey, why you call my name out?
I'll put 30 on you before you even get a layup.
You dreaming right there, Tony. Hey, Chris, I went to school on basketball scholarship, so Tony don't have a chance on the basketball court.
Well, I bet you can post up with the best of them. So, or 3-point shooting. But here's what I would say: the one thing that hasn't changed, this show. This show has been. It's like the Olympic torch. Tony, well, once a year, usually by the phone, obviously through the years. Chris, we haven't been on. Yeah, of course, Mac the Sack. We can do that. And so I give you look. I'm ESPN, so everybody knows I've been there forever, right? So what? This show, below the surface of it, you're not on this long if people don't enjoy you and you don't enjoy doing it because they see you enjoy doing it, and that makes me, as a viewer or a listener, want to come back. So I love the turn that you've made, Tony. And Donna, I know you're still young, but you guys have put together a long-running show that is, entertaining but informative. And so I'm glad to be with you Super Bowl week.
And I want to say this, and Donna, we weren't hard on you today, but I want to say this, and I want you fans to know.
I didn't.
Thank you, Chris. Clean it up for Tony. He's trying to point the finger at you.
I want to say one thing. The things that we say from our heart. And I tell you what, this young man right here has been with me all the way through this. As a matter of fact, the first broadcasting job that I really had other than my show was with him on ESPN. And he taught me a lot, and he's been a friend ever since. And Donna, you've been with me a long time. So, we may have our different opinion, but right now, this panel right here, fans, if you want to listen to anybody, listen to me, because neither one of them knew what they were talking about. No, all joking aside, this is going to be a great Super Bowl. Chris, thank you so much, and we'll be talking soon. Donna, we got some more work to do.
And Chris, by the way, I followed your career. I woke up watching SportsCenter and you on their game day.
All right.
A lot of people used me as a nightlight back in the day.
I've covered the team for 30 years, and I've never seen this level of engagement or excitement, even when they won Super Bowl 52. I think the Eagle fan demographically is younger. I think it's across the board, in all neighborhoods, in all communities. And Jalen Hurts, I think, is primarily responsible for that as the CEO of the team on and off the field. He's a remarkable young man, and he shows uh, real leadership effortlessly in a way that I haven't seen since I served in the military, and I was a naval officer at age 22. And so I saw young officers in the military who are just like Jalen, grind it out, advance one day at a time, keep your head on a swivel, but keep an even keel. So I marvel at his ability.
Hey,
You know,
Sal,
it's Sal.
I'll let Tony jump in right now.
You know what, Sal, and you look at this, and it's what I want to just ask you the quick question. With him being injured, do you think that that's going to play a big part in the Super Bowl? I know that he's doing well, don't get me wrong, but he's injured as well as the other quarterback. Do you look at this Eagles team, and you've kind of watched them the whole year? Are they really a complete team, or is Jalen the big part of this team that they can't afford to lose?
I don't think his injury will play a major part. Now, he hasn't really been called upon, Tony, to carry the team from the pocket as a pocket passer because their running game is just so multiple, so versatile, so powerful. And so, they run the ball. It's a primarily running team. You saw that against Giants, saw that against the Niners, and their run coordinator and offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland has a lot to do with that. And they've got two guys, in my view, who are headed to Canton, Ohio. That is Lane Johnson, the right tackle, and Jason Kelsey, the center. So when you have 2 out of your 5 offensive linemen who are Pro Football Hall of Fame worthy, Tony, you know that, man. You got an offensive line.
You don't know that, Sal.
Thanks, Sal. She don't give him the credit for it, but at the same time, she's the person that felt like you guys were the best at the beginning. So I have to give her that prop. But I also looked at that San Francisco team, and I want your thoughts on that. Had they not lost their quarterback, it looked like that could have been a very close game.
Closer, for sure. But Brock Purdy's not playing linebacker, and the Eagles had 4 rushing touchdowns.
Say that again, Sal, for him, because like you said, it would have been closer, but the results would have been the same. But Sal, I told Tony that when you look at the Super Bowl and you look at this Eagles team, they are clicking on all cylinders. On the offensive side of the ball, they've got top receivers as far as A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and then the running game as far as with Miles Sanders, and not even talking about James Granville. So when you talk about all the weapons, along with Jalen Hurts and all of that, their offensive line, how can Kansas City's defense slow them? Because I told Tony they've got a large task on their hands as far as trying to slow that Eagles offense down.
Well, Donna, I think when you look at the Eagles running game, I said it's multiple for a reason. They have a lot of run pass options where, Jalen Hurts is just reading and reacting. And then they have a lot of zone read runs where it's set up as a one cut offense for the running back. So it is extremely multiple. And then if he keeps the ball, he's very good right now, I think, at protecting his body, and he has to be. As Tony mentioned, that right shoulder, he's got an AC joint tear. It's not fully healed, clearly. It doesn't affect you when you throw the football, but you can re-aggravate it and re-injure it very quickly, and it's very painful.
Well, as far as running the ball too, like you said, it looked like even in that game against the 49ers, he didn't look like the same Jalen Hurts because he wasn't able to do the things that he normally do as far as run the ball.
He didn't have to.
Yeah, well, that's what. Could you tell Tony that he didn't not have to because they had so many other weapons and everything. But going back to Tony's point, Donna, about the quarterback, it's for real. The air went out of the sideline, and
yes.
If you can't compete, it's demoralizing. Anybody who's played team sports knows that if you can't compete because you're missing an important piece, it's demoralizing. It's human nature. I don't care how tough you are. It's difficult to overcome that. And, you need to have real leaders who can rally a team, coaching staff, players, whatever, to overcome such a really difficult circumstance. So yeah, I agree with Tony that it did have that kind of impact, but I was being a little facetious that Brock Purdy's not playing linebacker, but nevertheless you could tell body language not good.
Do you have any fear of the team on the other side of the ball? And everyone's saying Kansas City. Also, their quarterback is hurt. And going into this game, we all realized that they had powerful offenses, but both defenses, with Philadelphia having a great defense and one with Kansas City having a so-so defense. Do you have any fear that they may win this game? Can Mahomes pull it out? Or do you think this is going to be one of those games whereas Philadelphia would dominate as they have during the course of the year?
Well, Philadelphia is the first team since the Baltimore Ravens of 2000 to hold two successive opponents for 7 points or less. And the Ravens had an historically great defense of 2000. That was the Ray Lewis defense that dominated the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. So, having said that, I think there's two aspects of this team, Tony, that is truly, truly dominant. One, the running game. Two, pass rush. The pass rush is real. It's real. It's speed to power. It's multiple. They got a lot of bodies that they throw at you, wave after wave after wave. I tell you, this is a for real pass rush. Hassan Reddick, again, speed to power, has length and strength and smarts, super smart guy.
Hey, Sal, you got the pulse on this Eagles team. What is the feel that you're feeling right now as far as when you talk to the players, coaches, and everything, with them getting ready to go to the Super Bowl again? I think they hadn't been there since 2017. What's the pulse on this team right now?
I'm here at the Eagles right now, Donna. In fact, when I get off the phone, when I get off your show, I'm going to get on the phone with a couple of the coaches here, and we're going to, get a few more insights into what's going on with the team so that I can report live tomorrow. And I had a sit down today with Nick Sirianni. So I think Nick Sirianni is smart enough that he is relying on past experience of coaches that he knows, Frank Reich and others, to try to get a feel. It's very difficult, I think, number one, to have the same messaging all the way throughout for 2 weeks and get a team prepared. You really have to have a good plan in place. So I think he's getting that. It's his first show. It's Andy Reid's. This is multiple times that he's been in a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, this is his third. Jalen Hurts, it's his first. But the old saying, hey, experience is not required when you have talent.
Thank you. And the thing about it is you mentioned the pass rush, but let's talk about the pass catchers. I haven't seen no one really cover your pass catchers this whole year, not just in the playoff. They are very good. They come up and they make some difficult catches and they make big catches. So I'm looking at them as being a big part of this. And as you know, Kansas City, as I said, on defense, they've had problems in the defensive backfield, and they haven't always had the pass rush. So it looks as if whichever team can run the ball the best, this may be a game for them. Now, we know your receivers can get off, but Kansas City has one of those take a chance defenses. What they'll blitz you, they'll do everything to try to stop you because they may not have the talent to stop you up top. So as you look at this game, can your receivers take over the game as they have in the past? And I'll say yours. I mean Philadelphia.
I like how he said your receiver, Sal.
Right. I'm not a fan of the team. I grew up in New York, but I've covered the team forever. I try to remain as objective as possible. The guy who cuts my hair and cuts my lawn, they're all Eagles fans. So, I try to walk that fine line, Donna and Tony. But, I look at this Kansas City team. What are the strengths? Well, the courage and moxie and superior playmaking ability of their quarterback. I mean, he played a game that for the ages on a bad ankle. Two, Chris Jones is, a runaway train, and they better block Chris Jones in this game because he will wreck it if they don't. I think he's the best pass rusher overall in the AFC. I think Reddick is the best in the NFC. Two great pass rushers could both wreck this game. And then you look at the sneaky speed that Kansas City has offensively. Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, um, Juju Smith-Schuster. Go down the list. They have some sneaky speed. It's interesting to me that they lost Tyreek Hill, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
yet they lost Tyreek Hill, but they didn't really miss a beat at all.
What plays into when you look at the coaching? Does experience play into part with this? Being Andy Reid, like you said before, has been there, and on the Philadelphia side, maybe not so much experience as far as being in the Super Bowl coach wise. Well, how much will that play into things also?
Well, I think, you have coaches up and down the line that have experience with Coach Reid, Coach Spagnuolo, Eric Bieniemy. Let's not forget about Eric Bieniemy, who does an absolutely great job with the Chiefs, but in my view, should have been a head coach a long, long time ago.
Definitely.
I don't know why. With the last time they were in the Super Bowl, that should have been the indicator right there when they beat the 49ers. To me, he should have gotten a job right away, but hasn't. Has been lost in the sauce, I believe. I don't know why, but and so you got Bieniemy, you got Spagnuolo, you got Reid, you got guys who are experienced in coaching in big games, and you got Shane Steichen. Nick Sirianni's never even been to a Super Bowl, not as a fan, not as a coach, not as a player. That experience, Donna, as you know, when you get out there and you got to deal with the media every single day and the inane questions over and over again. And it's a lot of demand on your time. You can get wide-eyed about it and get caught up in it for sure. I've seen that happen to some players, and here comes the big but. Jalen Hurts is not going to let that happen. He's not. He's a special, and I've been around a lot of young people in my life as a Navy officer, as a college professor. I have 3 daughters and 4 granddaughters. I got 3 son-in-laws. I've been around a lot of young people in my life, and Jalen Hurts is the creme de la creme.
I like that.
Ooh, I like that.
Well, I'm gonna let Tony have the last word because I know that
I just want to ask you one
you gotta
thing.
go and do some things, but Tony's gonna have the last word with you, Sal, because I know you've got a lot to do to get prepared for this Super Bowl moving forward. So, Tony, you got the last word before we let Sal go.
Sal, if you had to think about it right now, what would you think the score would be in this game?
I think the Eagles will score 30 points. The question is, yes,
you really you think they'll score? But what do you think Kansas
well,
City
they scored
will do?
38 against the Giants and 31 against the best defense in the NFL. So I think they'll go score 30 points. I think the game comes down to the Eagles defense handling the playmaking ability of Patrick Mahomes on 3rd and 4th down. He's a magician. He's an escape artist. Even with a bad ankle, Tony.
Yes.
He's been sacked only 3 times in the postseason. 3. And he can't hardly move unless that's a big act. I don't know. But so can the Eagles handle the playmaking ability of Patrick Mahomes down the stretch? I got the Eagles winning 30-27 in this football game, but the ball will be in Patrick Mahomes' hands with an opportunity to win the game.
Ooh, that's a good Super Bowl. That's a good Super Bowl. I like that.
That's what we're looking for. We got to bring you back on and Sal. Maybe after the Super Bowl and everything, you can come on our podcast. I want to see which of them is right and wrong, but I agree with everything you're saying. But I didn't think
Tony,
you would think they would get.
What do you got, Tony, for a score?
I got a score. I would look more at maybe a 24-18, 17-18 score. I think it's going to be a 7-point game.
No. If the Eagles don't score 30 points, I'm coming to your house and cooking you dinner. Come on now.
Okay,
yeah,
now
Tony, and who are you picking? Tony, who are you picking, though?
I want to pick Kansas City. Give me a chance. Now, let me say what. You said they scored 30 points. Okay, they scored 30 points on the Giants, who didn't deserve to be in there anyway. They lucked up and got in there. And then they throw 30 points on the team that didn't have a quarterback. So can we still do that? Will they have an offense that maybe can hold on to the ball and not giving them opportunity? This is going to be different. And one thing you kept saying, Sal, is so important. I've been in 2 Super Bowls. It matters if you've been there before.
Yes, I agree with
That's
that.
all I'm going to tell
I
you.
do. It does.
It,
Yeah,
it matters.
it does matter. Yeah.
And you know,
But there's been
so
a
you know
lot of
what?
teams that have won their first Super Bowl. Brady won his first one. I mean, there's a lot of teams that do that. I mean, look at what the Washington football team, Commanders, whatever you want to call them, they did with
Exactly.
three different quarterbacks, one head coach. I mean, it's been done. Troy Aikman won his first. So Montana won his first. It can't be that Terry Bradshaw won his first. Bart Starr won his first. I'll go way back for you. Bart Starr won his first. So it can be done. Nick Foles won his first. And by the way, Nick Foles has the same number of Super Bowl titles as Aaron Rodgers. I'm just putting that out there.
Hey, Sal, you know what? I'm going with the Eagles also because I think the Eagles are going to score 30-some points and Kansas City about 24. And like you said, you never can count out Patrick Mahomes and that offense.
Yes.
But all I want is a good Super Bowl.
Right. It'll be a nail
I'm holding you to that 30.
The Eagles will have the lead in the end with Patrick Mahomes with the ball in his hands. No question about it.
If they don't score 30, Donna will be sending the plane to pick you up and come and cook for us. But I think they'll score 30. But as you said, the one thing that really surprised me, when you said 30-27, I don't know if it'll be that high of a game. I think it's going to be a game, as you said, Patrick Mahomes will have a chance to win it. It'll come down to a crucial play, and whoever makes that crucial play will win. Well, Sal, I thank you for being on. And I tell you what, a wealth of knowledge, and hey, enjoy the game.